Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Deep True Crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez, where we focus on past cases and many times current cases and dive deep into what happened in those cases. And many times we talk about ongoing cases like today's story. If this sounds like something you like to follow, please smash that subscribe button, hit on that like and click on that notification bell. It'll definitely reach more people. And that's the whole purpose, is to help raise awareness as to what can go wrong out there in this crazy world. And in today's story, we're going to be talking about Lauren Smith Fields. What happened in this case? It's an ongoing case that has now been upgraded to a criminal case, a criminal investigation after being ruled one thing. Maybe you've heard of this story so far. So just today or yesterday, we found out 2 detectives have been suspended over the handling of this case as to exactly what it is that they have been doing. And that's what makes this completely sad, because it was not taken very seriously. It was almost kind of blown off, a little insensitivity around these detectives that were handling this case. And that's what makes this so sad as well. Every case should have its full on board attention. And that's why we're diving into the case of what happened to Lauren Smith Fields. Now, there's still an ongoing investigation going with this whole thing, but the mayor of Connecticut City has ordered 2 police detectives to be placed on administrative leave after the families of 2 black women criticized the police responses and investigation into their deaths. One of those deaths are Lauren Smith Fields. And here's what's so ironic about this case as well, that 2 women died on this same day. And the way that they're handling it is like, is this having anything to do with race? Because 2 women, both African American, not getting any attention on this. And now they're comparing the case of Lauren Smith Fields to that of Gabby Petito, who was a white girl who went missing, and the whole nation was paying attention. Now, I think from personal experience, or should I say from personal coverage of the Gabby Petito story, a lot of the attention started getting drawn when the police cam came out. And then they're like, whoa, look at all this stuff that was being said. And then so much more attention was drawn to this. Now, there has been a worldwide attention on this particular case. And this is why more further investigation has been done, because people spoke up. Great job. That is so awesome, because we don't need this case dying out by any means. And so we want to know what happened to Lauren Smith Fields, big time, because now that these 2 detectives have been fired, now it's like, okay, there must be more to this story. At least that would be my thought process. And so the mayor even of Bridgeton, of Connecticut City, Bridgeton, he expressed his condolences. He even said he is extremely disappointed with the leadership of Bridgeport Police Department. You see, according to a report from the Bridgeport Police Department, Lauren had met a man on the dating app Bumble. And this is a dating app that is a popular dating app. And, they hit it off pretty well. The pair were at her apartment drinking when she fell. She all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, she fell unwell and started vomiting. And according to the incident report that was filed, she received a text later after the date had began. She walks outside to grab something from her brother and went to the toilet before returning and continuing to drink with the man she met on Bumble. Now, that was the first story that they received. That was the first story that they received in connection to her death. And so they interviewed the guy, and he said, you know, according to detectives, he's a great guy, came off very well. He's not a suspect. According to the guy, they say he's not a suspect. And so that is just not going to do. A quick interview after a death. And so in the report, it claims that Lauren's body was found unresponsive at her apartment in her home by the same man that she met on Bumble, right? So this is the same guy that she met in the early hours of the morning. And so the next day he wakes up and blood's coming out of her right nostril and she was not breathing. Then he calls the police. So when medics arrived, they get there, they pronounce that Lauren Smith Fields is dead. They pronounce her dead there. And so despite being the last person to see her alive, the man was not questioned or arrested by the police. And so, you know, this is where a lot of this is starting to come, like the way they treated this. They blew it off like it was no big deal. They literally blew it off like it was no big deal. Lauren's family, they had learned of her death after going to her apartment. They get to her apartment and they see a note on the door, and it says, if you're looking for Lauren, call the number. So of course, Lauren's mother, she's looking for Lauren. She calls the number. It belongs to the landlord. And so the landlord now informs her that Lauren was dead. That's how they didn't even make a courtesy call to the mom to let her know. The detectives, they didn't even contact her. And so later, you know, they're like, why did this happen? So the family's like begging, literally begging for them to do more research, begging for them to dig deeper into this death, begging for more answers. And so, you know, Lauren's brother, he talks to the news, and he says that when he asked investigators about the older man, he said the investigator, and he quotes, just made it seem like the guy was a nice guy. He says, when I asked the officer about the guy, he said he was a very nice guy and they weren't looking into him anymore. Just like that. Literally. They just briefly asked him a few questions and wrote it off as okay. And so, and her brother, the way he felt after asking this question, he just felt like, you know, the police are just sticking up for this guy. And that's literally how he felt. To him, it was weird to hear that from the detective. Like, he just, you know, he's a nice guy. We're not going to look into him any further. He thought that was a little odd. And so Lauren's father, she says that this little interaction, the little interaction he has with the investigators, he felt they were just insensitive about the whole thing. He quotes, this is his quote, "The only contact that we had was from a very insensitive, condescending, and arrogant detective." Your daughter dies, the last thing you want to be feeling is that this guy is just blowing you off like this is no big deal. You just lost your daughter. The last thing you need is someone giving you this feeling. Period. And so the family's attorney, he says, you know, in his mind, in his statement, it's happening all too often with black girls missing across this world, across the country, and no one says anything. When a white woman goes missing, the whole world drops everything. We are done with this valuation. And that's what he is saying. The way that Lauren's death was handled by law enforcement, even social media was upset. Understandably, good reason. Even social media was like, what is going on? I totally get it. Like, they should have definitely dug a lot further into this. And this is why people are comparing it to the Gabby Petito story, because the whole nation was in it. I personally feel like there's a little bit of a difference there. On first, one was missing, and so that's what caught everyone's attention, because this guy comes back with her van and she's nowhere to be found. But this is very odd as well. You go out on a date, someone on Bumble, all of a sudden you're dead that night. And the thing is that she's in a pool of her blood on her bed. That's suspicious. See, that's what makes this whole thing so weird. And so the family wants just as much attention as the Gabby Petito story got. I definitely don't blame them. Definitely do not blame them. And so people all across the country were asking, like, we want answers. They were calling for answers, because truth is, her story needs to be heard. More is behind this. And the way it was handled makes it look like there's a lot more behind this, because it did not seem to be taken seriously at all. And so now the family, they're literally going to sue the city of Bridgeport for failure to prosecute and failure to protect under the 14th Amendment. And so with that being said, so when you think about it, everyone should be protected, right? So the 14th Amendment, all persons born or naturalized in the U.S. and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the U.S. and of the state wherein they reside. So basically, they deserve to be protected. I agree. I totally agree. Because they need to be treated just like everyone else. I agree 100%. And so 6 weeks after her death, and after a massive outcry from people, from regular people like me and you. That's why I'm doing this video, is because this story needs to be heard. This story needs to be shared. More needs to be looked into as to what happened to Lauren Smith Fields. And that we all want to find out more as to, okay, what is going on? Let's get some answers, right? And so now we got this a whole 6 weeks after her death, and everyone really, getting in, supporting more needing to be done and get this thing properly investigated the right way. Now, Bridgeport Police have said its Narcotics and Vice Division, along with the Federal Drug Enforcement Administration, is investigating to see if any crimes were committed. So as of now, nothing is being said as this is a crime that has been committed. But they are refocusing their attention and their efforts to the factors that led to her untimely death, and seeing, was there anything more sinister to this? And so according to, people out there, they're like, this thing should have been investigated properly from the very beginning. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so let's get some answers. Let's literally get some answers, because we don't know. Here we have this influencer who was really, and I say Instagram because she had a huge, or should I say influencer because she had a big following. And if I could get my words right here, she had a big following on Instagram, she had a big following on TikTok. And so now we want to know what is going on here, because this guy who went out there, who was with her, LaFontaine is his last name and Matthew is his first name. So first, her death is ruled an accident in the incident report, calling it an overdose of fentanyl and other stuff. And so according to court documents, a visibly shaking Matthew LaFontaine of Milford told police that he woke up the following morning after a night of drinking and saw Smith Fields not breathing while blood was coming out of her right nostril. And he added that he noticed Smith Fields in the bathroom at one point for around 15 minutes the night prior. And lawyer says, I think it's the media that made him the main focus of this investigation. Although Bridgeport Police did investigate the matter, he did fully cooperate. Well, as long as he continues to fully cooperate, then we should be able to get some answers around this. And so the victim's family attorney, he's pushing for DNA testing after claiming a semen-filled condom and bloody bed sheets found at the scene were allegedly compromised by Bridgeport Police Department. And so if that is factual there, that could be some evidence into something going wrong here. So, and he says, we find it shocking the attorney has never reached out to my office. If he's truly concerned about what happened to Lauren, he will make his client available to my investigative team. And so, the family, they're saying that the Bridgeport police failed to investigate this matter. Yes, I will say if two detectives are then being suspended, that there is something wrong with this. I mean, really. And even if you think about it, let's see here. There was this tweet by rapper Cardi B. Let's bring it up there. Cardi B, she even, this man don't look old, and it's not old at all, and yet the media made it seem like she was with a old ass man looking to trick on her. Left me disgusted on how they spin the narrative. And she posted this picture, exclusive, pictured design engineer 37 whose Bumble date 23 died in her blood-stained bed next to him after a night of drinking. Her family sues cops for mishandling investigation and not pursuing because he's white. Now, that's what is being reported out there. She was kind of sharing that. And so that's what she thought this to be. And so now you wonder, is there some truth behind this? Is it a race thing? Is it a race thing? I'm not going to go so far to say that. I'm thinking maybe more laziness, but maybe I'm the blind one here in this case. And so, but I can say that this thing was closed way too quickly in a strange night of events with someone she just met. And so if this thing was blown off right out of the gate, now she passed away on December 21st. She passed away on December 21st. So now we have a month, 6 weeks later that we're finding out more now. We should have been knowing more a lot sooner, I would think. I would think that. So why did it take so long? Why did it take so long to get more answers? Well, everything requires a little investigation, right? And so now we'll wait to see, will there be more that comes out of this story? This story cannot be done yet. This story cannot be done yet. Truth is, someone knows something. Someone knows something, and we need to get answers. What do you think about this? Let me know. Do you think that these two Connecticut officers, do you think it had something to do with race? Let me know in the comments if you think it had something to do with race. Because obviously for them to reopen this case, there is a lot of something behind this. There's literally a lot of something behind this. And so, the bed sheets with a blood stain, and he says it was the nose that had blood coming out of it. I would think that they would know, they can find out a little more. So the family has hired a private investigator to do their own digging. Literally, to do their own digging, they hired someone. Because there is too many strange events going on here. And so now we'll wait to find out if more. And that's where they're wanting to find out even DNA evidence if there was more done. Because I would think this nosebleed, you should be able to find out if it's bigger than that. Drugs can do some really horrible, horrible things to you. People have overdoses and things like that. I totally get it. But now we want to know more. There has to be more into this. There has to be. Because if this was just a drug-induced event, there should be some proof behind that as well. She was not breathing. And then she's declared dead at 6:49 in the morning. He slept this whole night through that whole thing. That right there is a little odd there. And she was declared dead at 6:49. Medical staff said she had been dead for at least an hour. And that's where it's like, this is all night. If she had died in her sleep, that's what he's saying? Is that what they're saying? Is that what the two detectives are saying about it? That she died in her sleep? Because literally the police were ignoring the family's plea for help. How do you do that? How do you do that? And so as soon as they got there, the police said that it was found that Miss Lauren Smith Fields passed away unexpectedly. It wasn't expected. So now this investigation is open and active. And you're probably like me. Why did they refuse to investigate the Bumble date? Why did they refuse to investigate the Bumble date? I mean, literally, because, and that's why the family is frustrated too. Because the investigators, they were not interested in pursuing him. And that's where it's like, they blew it off so easy that you wonder, like, why? Did they not want to do it? Or did they already find the fentanyl in the system? Did they already find all the drugs in her system that they're saying was in her system? I mean, the autopsy, normally it takes a little, it's been 6 weeks, so how long before they did write it off as that? Because now this is a criminal investigation. After saying that it was an accidental overdose. Was it an accidental overdose? Well, my friends, that's the story of Lauren Smith Fields. Let me know in the comments what your thought is around this. What do you think happened in this particular case? What do you think? Do you think that the Bumble date is everything that he said is coming off okay? Or do you think there's a lot more to this story? Because right now, the two detectives, they were just suspended for basically being insensitive and not doing their due diligence around this whole thing. They can very well be off suspension before we know it, right? And so, but is this an accidental overdose, or is this something more sinister? Let me know in the comments, my friends. I'm Manny Rodriguez. Thank you for checking out this video today. Let me know what you think about Lauren Smith Fields. And my friends, as always, please pray for Lauren Smith Fields. Pray for her family to help them overcome this. Rest in peace, Lauren. Taken way too soon. And I kind of forget the other one's name. I definitely want to. Lauren Smith Fields. And so there we go. And so rest in peace, Lauren Smith Fields, and rest in peace, Brenda Lee Rawls. Both taken way too soon. Smith Fields, she was only 23 years old, and Rawls, she was 53 years old. Taken way too soon from this world. Rest in peace, ladies. So, my friends, thank you for joining me today. I hope you got some value. Please share this with more people. That way they get to see what's going on out there and share their voice. Hit that subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Hit the like on this video. That way it can reach more people. YouTube is all about engagement, and when you like it or comment, that's engagement. I'm Manny Rodriguez. Thank you for joining me today. Have an amazing day. Peace.